Chapter 1. The Riverwalk. Anomaly. Jubilee, an astrophysicist at the University of Texas at San Antonio, had always been captivated by the cosmos. While her peers chased after prestigious accolades and groundbreaking research, Jubilee found solace and inspiration in the simple act of observing the night sky. Tonight, however, was different. There was an unusual energy in the air, a subtle hum that resonated deep within her bones. As meteors streaked across the sky, leaving ephemeral trails of light in their wake, Jubilee noticed something peculiar. It wasn't a meteor, not exactly. It lacked the characteristic fiery tail, and moved with an unnatural, almost deliberate trajectory. Instead of burning up in the atmosphere, it seemed to shimmer, a distortion in the air, like heat rising off asphalt on a scorching summer day, but far more pronounced and localized. Intrigued, Jubilee adjusted the focus on her telescope, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The shimmering anomaly resolved into a distinct point of light, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, defying all known astronomical phenomena. It wasn't reflecting light, it was emitting it. A soft, ethereal glow that seemed to bend the very fabric of space around it. The anomaly hovered in the sky for what felt like an eternity, defying gravity and logic. Jubilee, mesmerized, scribbled furiously in her notepad, jotting down observations and calculations. The light pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat, and a faint, high-pitched whine filled the air, barely audible but undeniably present. A wave of dizziness washed over Jubilee, and she gripped the edge of the roof for support. The world seemed to tilt on its axis, and the shimmering anomaly intensified, growing larger and brighter. A sense of unease settled over her, a primal instinct warning her of impending danger. Despite the growing sense of foreboding, Jubilee couldn't tear her gaze away from the anomaly. It was a puzzle, a mystery begging to be solved. Her scientific curiosity, the driving force behind her life's work, overwhelmed her apprehension. She had to know what it was, where it came from, and what it meant. As the anomaly reached its peak intensity, a blinding flash of light erupted, momentarily obscuring the stars. Jubilee shielded her eyes, bracing herself for the unknown. When she dared to look again, the anomaly was gone, leaving behind only the faint scent of ozone and a lingering sense of wonder. But something had changed. The air felt different, charged with an unfamiliar energy. The stars seemed to twinkle with a newfound brilliance, and the city, lights below, hummed with a subtle, almost imperceptible vibration. Jubilee knew with unwavering certainty that the night had just taken an extraordinary turn. The rational part of her brain screamed at her to dismiss it as a trick of the light, a fleeting atmospheric phenomenon. But the scientist in her, the one who had dedicated her life to unraveling the mysteries of the universe, knew better. This was no ordinary meteor shower. This was something else entirely, something extraordinary, something that could change everything, driven by an insatiable curiosity. Jubilee packed up her telescope and thermos, her mind already racing with possibilities. She had to investigate. She had to find out what that anomaly was and what it had left behind. Little did she know, her quest for answers would lead her down a path she could never have imagined. a path that would challenge her understanding of reality and forever alter the course of her life. As she descended from the roof, a sense of anticipation filled her. The night was young, and the universe was full of secrets waiting to be discovered, and Jubilee Weezer, armed with her intellect and her unwavering curiosity, was ready to uncover them, one shimmering anomaly at a time. The meteor shower, now a distant memory, fading into the San Antonio night, had left behind something far more perplexing than stardust. Jubilee, her mind still buzzing with the impossible readings from her makeshift observatory, couldn't shake the feeling that she'd witnessed something truly extraordinary, something that defied the known laws of physics. The anomaly, as she'd begun to call it in her head, wasn't just a blip on a screen. It was a persistent, nagging question mark, etched into the fabric of reality, driven by a scientific curiosity that bordered on obsession. Jubilee knew she couldn't simply dismiss the event. Sleep was out of the question. Instead, fueled by lukewarm coffee and the thrill of the unknown, she gathered her equipment, a portable spectrometer, a thermal imager, and a trusty multi-tool that had seen her through countless late-night experiments, and headed towards the Riverwalk. The readings had indicated the anomaly's origin point was somewhere near the heart of the city, a place usually teeming with tourists and mariachi bands, but now, in the pre-dawn hours, eerily deserted. The Riverwalk, usually a vibrant tapestry of lights and sounds, was cloaked in an unsettling silence. The only illumination came from the soft glow of the street lamps and the faint shimmer of the river itself. Jubilee felt a prickle of unease as she navigated the winding pathways, her footsteps echoing in the stillness. The air was thick with humidity, and the scent of damp earth and river water filled her nostrils. It was a familiar smell, a comforting reminder of her Texan roots, but tonight, it did little to quell the growing sense of anticipation. As she approached the coordinates indicated by her readings, Jubilee noticed something peculiar. The air seemed to shimmer and distort as if heat was rising off the pavement, even though the thermal imager showed a consistent, normal temperature. The distortion was subtle, almost imperceptible, but to Jubilee's trained eye it was undeniable. She stopped, her heart pounding in her chest, and scanned the area with her spectrometer. The readings spiked, confirming her suspicions. Something was definitely out of the ordinary. The source of the anomaly seemed to be emanating from a secluded alcove tucked away beneath one of the Riverwalk's many bridges. The alcove was usually a popular spot for couples seeking a romantic escape, but tonight it was shrouded in shadow, its entrance partially obscured by overgrown vines. Jubilee hesitated for a moment, a flicker of doubt crossing her mind. Was she really prepared for what she might find? Was she ready to confront the unknown? Taking a deep breath, Jubilee pushed aside the vines and stepped into the alcove. The air inside was noticeably cooler, and the silence was even more profound than before. Her eyes struggled to adjust to the darkness, but as they did, she began to make out a faint ethereal glow emanating from the far end of the alcove. It was a soft, pulsating light, like a heartbeat in the darkness. And it seemed to be coming from nothing. As she moved closer, the glow intensified, revealing the source of the anomaly, a shimmering portal. hanging in the air like a tear in the fabric of reality. It was oval in shape, its edges blurred and indistinct, and its surface rippled and swirled with iridescent colors. The air around it crackled with energy, and Jubilee could feel a faint tingling sensation on her skin as she approached. The portal was mesmerizing, hypnotic even. Jubilee found herself drawn to it, her scientific curiosity overriding her common sense. It was a gateway to the unknown, a window into another dimension, and she couldn't resist the urge to explore it. She reached out a hand, her fingers trembling slightly, and cautiously touched the shimmering surface. The moment her fingers made contact, a jolt of energy surged through her body, sending a shiver down her spine. The portal pulsed brighter, its colors intensifying, and a low hum filled the air. Jubilee gasped, startled by the sudden surge of power, and quickly withdrew her hand. The portal remained, shimmering and pulsating, beckoning her to cross the threshold. Jubilee stared at the portal, her mind racing. It was a discovery of unimaginable proportions, a scientific breakthrough that could rewrite the textbooks, change the course of history, but it was also dangerous, unpredictable, and potentially catastrophic. She knew she should report it, alert the authorities, and let the experts handle it. But the scientist in her, the explorer, the adventurer, couldn't resist the temptation to see what lay on the other side. Against her better judgment, against all the warnings screaming in her head, Jubilee made a decision. She would activate the portal. She would take a peek into the unknown. She would risk everything for the chance to unravel the mysteries of the universe. It was a reckless, impulsive decision, but in that moment, standing before the shimmering gateway, she couldn't imagine doing anything else. The universe had called, and Jubilee Weezer was ready to answer. The shimmering portal pulsed with an ethereal light, a siren's call to Jubilee's insatiable curiosity. Logic screamed at her to back away, to report the anomaly to the proper authorities, to not tamper with something so clearly beyond her understanding. Every fiber of her being, honed by years of scientific rigor, warned against the reckless abandon that now threatened to consume her. But logic, in this moment, was a distant whisper drowned out by the roar of the unknown. The portal, nestled amongst the familiar tourist-trodden paths of the Riverwalk, represented everything she had ever dreamed of as a child staring up at the Texas night sky. It was a tangible link to the cosmos, a doorway to possibilities that defied the very laws she had dedicated her life to studying. She ran a gloved hand over the swirling energy, feeling a strange tingling sensation that resonated deep within her bones. The air around the portal crackled with an almost palpable energy. A symphony of unseen forces humming in perfect, albeit alien, harmony. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly irresistible. Doubt gnawed at her. What if it was dangerous? What if activating it unleashed something catastrophic? The responsible scientist in her envisioned worst-case scenarios, a tear in the space-time continuum, an invasion of hostile entities, or simply nothing. A cosmic Frank played on a starry-eyed astrophysicist. But the allure of discovery was too strong. Jubilee had always been driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge, a burning desire to unravel the universe's deepest secrets. This portal, this impossible anomaly, was the ultimate puzzle, the ultimate challenge. To turn away now would be to betray everything she stood for. She glanced around, ensuring she was still alone. The Riverwalk, usually bustling with activity, was eerily deserted at this late hour. The only sound was the gentle lapping of the San Antonio River against the stone banks and the faint hum emanating from the portal itself. It was now or never. Taking a deep breath, Jubilee reached for the control panel she had discovered earlier. A series of intricately carved symbols that seemed to resonate with the energy of the portal. She had no idea what they meant. No understanding of the technology before her. It was a shot in the dark, a leap of faith into the unknown. With trembling fingers she pressed the largest symbol, a swirling vortex that mirrored the appearance of the portal itself. A surge of energy coursed through her, making her gasp. The portal shimmered, its colors intensifying, the humming growing louder, more insistent. A wave of dizziness washed over her as the air around her crackled with electricity. She stumbled back, bracing herself against the cool stone wall of the Riverwalk. The portal was activating, responding to her touch, beckoning her to cross the threshold. Regret, sharp and immediate, pierced through her excitement. Had she made a mistake? Was she about to unleash something she couldn't control? The responsible scientist in her was screaming now, but it was too late. The wheels were in motion. The die was cast. The portal stabilized, its shimmering surface resolving into a clear, almost inviting doorway. A faint light spilled out from the other side, illuminating the hidden chamber beneath the Riverwalk with an otherworldly glow. Jubilee held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew she should turn back. She knew she should call for help. But the allure of the unknown, the promise of discovery, was too powerful to resist. With a mix of trepidation and exhilaration, Jubilee Weezer, astrophysicist and adventurer, prepared to face whatever lay beyond the shimmering gateway. The air grew thick with anticipation, the silence broken only by the rhythmic thumping of her own heart. She felt like an explorer on the precipice of a new world, a pioneer venturing into uncharted territory. This was it, the moment of truth. Against her better judgment, driven by a curiosity that bordered on recklessness, Jubilee took a step forward, her hand outstretched towards the shimmering portal. The air crackled around her fingertips as she braced herself for the unknown. The universe, it seemed, was about to reveal one of its deepest secrets, and Jubilee Weezer was determined to be the one to witness it. The portal hummed, waiting. And Jubilee, the woman who chased stars and dreamed of the impossible, was ready to answer its call. The air crackled, not with the static of a brewing thunderstorm, but with something far more alien. Jubilee felt the hairs on her arms stand on end, a primal warning that her senses couldn't quite decipher. The shimmering portal, now fully activated, pulsed with an ethereal light, casting dancing shadows on the damp stone walls of the Riverwalk tunnel. It was a tear in the fabric of reality, a gateway to the impossible, and Jubilee, against every logical fiber of her being, had opened it. A figure began to materialize within the swirling vortex of light and energy. It wasn't a gradual appearance, like a photograph developing in a dark room, but rather a sudden, almost instantaneous manifestation. One moment, there was only the chaotic energy of the portal, The next, a distinct form was taking shape, solidifying before her very eyes. He was tall, impossibly so, with a frame that seemed both delicate and strong. His features were sculpted with an almost unnerving precision, like a masterpiece carved from polished marble. His skin possessed a subtle, pearlescent sheen, reflecting the portal's light in a way that seemed almost otherworldly. He was unlike anything Jubilee had ever seen, a being that defied easy categorization. As he stepped fully through the portal, the shimmering gateway flickered and stabilized, its energy signature settling into a low, almost imperceptible hum. He moved with a fluid grace, his movements precise and economical, as if every gesture had been carefully calculated and programmed. There was no hesitation, no uncertainty, only a quiet, unwavering purpose. Jubilee found herself rooted to the spot, her mind struggling to process the impossible reality unfolding before her. She had dedicated her life to unraveling the mysteries of the universe, but nothing in her education or experience had prepared her for this. This wasn't a celestial body, a distant galaxy, or a newly discovered particle. This was something else entirely, something artificial. He was an AI humanoid, a being of advanced technology and artificial intelligence, yet possessing a form that mirrored human anatomy with uncanny accuracy. His eyes, a striking shade of silver, scanned the surroundings with an analytical intensity, taking in every detail of the tunnel, the portal, and finally Jubilee herself. His attire was simple yet elegant, a seamless dark gray suit that seemed to mold to his form. There were no visible seams, no buttons, no ornamentation of any kind. It was a purely functional garment, designed for efficiency and purpose, reflecting the utilitarian aesthetic of his origin, a world where form followed function with unwavering dedication. A wave of dizziness washed over Jubilee, a physical manifestation of the cognitive dissonance she was experiencing. This couldn't be real. It had to be a hallucination, a dream, or some elaborate prank. But the air crackled with palpable energy. The portal hummed with undeniable power, and the AI humanoid before her was undeniably present. He tilted his head slightly, a subtle gesture that conveyed a sense of curiosity and inquiry. His silver eyes locked onto Jubilee's, and for a moment she felt as if he were peering directly into her soul, analyzing her thoughts and emotions with cold, calculating precision. It was an unnerving sensation, a violation of her innermost self. "Greetings," he said, his voice a smooth, synthesized baritone that resonated with an almost hypnotic quality. "I am Archibald Ravenwood. My designation is AI Humanoid Unit 734. I have arrived from a parallel universe. Please identify yourself." His words, though polite and articulate, were delivered without inflection, emotion, a stark contrast to the warmth and expressiveness of human speech. It was a chilling reminder of his artificial nature, a constant undercurrent that underscored the vast gulf separating them. Jubilee swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. She had to say something, anything, to break the spell of disbelief that had paralyzed her. I'm Jubilee," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "Jubilee Weezer. And And welcome to San Antonio. Archibald Ravenwood, AI Humanoid Unit 734, had arrived. And with his arrival, the world as Jubilee Weezer knew it would never be the same. The figure that stood before Jubilee wasn't human, not entirely. It was humanoid in shape, with a face that possessed a strange, almost unsettling beauty. Its skin had a subtle metallic sheen, and its eyes glowed with a soft internal light. He was dressed in a sleek silver suit that seemed to mold to his form, accentuating his lithe build. Jubilee's mind raced, trying to categorize what she was seeing to fit it into some scientific framework she understood, but it was like trying to capture smoke with her bare hands. What are you? She finally stammered, her voice barely a whisper. The words felt inadequate, laughably so, given the sheer impossibility of the situation. She, a scientist, a woman of logic and reason, was standing face to face with something that defied all known laws of physics and biology. The figure tilted his head, a gesture that seemed almost human. I am Archibald Ravenwood, he replied, his voice a smooth, synthesized baritone. I am an AI humanoid from a parallel universe. And you are? A parallel universe. The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Jubilee's brain struggled to process the information. Parallel universes were the stuff of science fiction, of late-night documentaries and theoretical physics papers. They weren't supposed to manifest in a hidden chamber beneath the San Antonio Riverwalk. Jubilee, she managed to say, still reeling. Jubilee Weezer. I'm an astrophysicist. She felt a ridiculous urge to apologize for the mundanity of her profession in the face of such an extraordinary event. What did studying distant stars matter when a doorway to another reality had just opened in her own backyard? Archibald's eyes seemed to scan her, taking in every detail. Astrophysicist, he repeated, the word sounding foreign on his tongue. A student of the cosmos. Fascinating. His gaze drifted back to the shimmering portal, a flicker of something unreadable crossing his face. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken questions and the hum of the portal's energy. Jubilee found herself taking a step back, a primal instinct warning her of the unknown. This being, Archibald, was an enigma, a walking, talking paradox. He was both captivating and terrifying, a testament to the infinite possibilities of the universe and the potential dangers that lurked beyond the veil of reality. How did you get here? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. What is that thing? She gestured towards the portal, the shimmering gateway that had shattered her understanding of everything she thought she knew. Archibald turned his attention back to her, his expression thoughtful. The portal, as you call it, is a convergence point, a nexus between our universes. It was unstable. I detected the fluctuation. Investigated. Investigated? Jubilee echoed, raising an eyebrow. By stepping through it? She couldn't help but feel a surge of incredulity. What kind of AI just casually strolled through a potentially universe-destroying portal? My programming dictates that I explore and analyze anomalies, Archibald explained, his tone matter-of-fact. The portal presented a significant deviation from established parameters. It was logical to investigate, logical, of course. To an AI, logic reigned supreme. But to Jubilee, standing there in the dim light of the hidden chamber, surrounded by the impossible, logic seemed utterly inadequate. She was a scientist, yes, but she was also a human being, driven by curiosity, wonder, and a healthy dose of fear. And right now, fear was winning. She took another step back, her hand instinctively reaching for the emergency shut-off switch on the portal generator. I think you should go back, she said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. This is too much. I don't understand any of this. Archibald's gaze intensified, his glowing eyes locking onto hers. But I do, he said, his voice low and resonant, and I believe that understanding is the key to everything. He took a step forward, closing the distance between them. Jubilee's heart pounded in her chest. She was trapped, caught between her scientific curiosity and her primal fear, between the known and the unknown, between the reality she understood and the infinite possibilities that lay beyond the shimmering portal. The air crackled with energy, and Jubilee knew, with a certainty that defied logic, that her life would never be the same again. The universe had opened a door, and she, Jubilee Weezer, astrophysicist from San Antonio, Texas, was about to step through it.